Hello friends. If you were born on March 6th, your soul carries the subtle power of a dreamer, the mystery of an old soul, and the intuitive fire of a healer. You live at the emotional crossroads of Pisces, ruled by Neptune, and touched by the number 6 in numerology, which symbolizes harmony, love, and service. But what does this truly say about your love life, your friendships, your deepest desires? Let's unfold the cosmic map and explore everything about the ones born on this special day, from love and sex, to business, numerology, the Druidic, Vedic, flower, and gemstone horoscopes, and more. Buckle up, we're diving into your soul's contract. Your astrological essence, March 6th Pisces vibration. As a March 6th Pisces, your essence is a fusion of dreamy mysticism and emotional depth. Unlike many who walk the earth with grounded practicality, you float, not because you're absent-minded, but because you're attuned to something beyond the veil. You see the world through a spiritual lens that picks up nuances others don't even notice. You're a receptor for invisible currents, the feelings behind the words, the intentions beneath the smiles, the pain that isn't spoken aloud. You walk among people, yet you are often elsewhere, halfway between heaven and earth. Ruled by Neptune, the oceanic planet of illusion, mysticism, and boundless imagination, you carry a soul that yearns for transcendence. Neptune doesn't play by the rules of time and logic, and neither do you. You feel in tidal waves. You love in metaphors. You think in symbols, emotions, poetry, and color. This makes you a visionary, but also someone who can become lost in fantasy. Your life is often spent oscillating between profound clarity and foggy indecision. That's the Pisces paradox, to see everything and nothing all at once. People are drawn to you not just for who you are, but for how you make them feel. Being around you can feel like a form of therapy. Your eyes listen, your silence understands. You absorb people's energy without even trying. This makes you a natural empath, but also emotionally vulnerable. You need solitude to detox from the emotional noise you're constantly surrounded by. Without breaks, you risk becoming overwhelmed, anxious, or emotionally disoriented. March 6th Pisces carry a unique frequency within the sign. You're ruled not only by Neptune but subtly influenced by the moon, giving you heightened emotional intelligence, maternal warmth, and intuitive rhythms that sync with lunar cycles. The moon adds depth to your depth. Your dreams are vivid and often prophetic. Your connection to nature, the sea, and the moonlight is more than aesthetic, it's ancestral. While earlier Pisces may lean more toward logic and the later ones flirt with Aries-like assertiveness, you, born on the 6th, exist in the heart of Pisces, soft, intuitive, and richly complex. This makes you one of the most purely Piscean types, gentle but spiritually strong, emotional but deeply wise. You're not here to conquer, you're here to connect. You crave meaningful interactions, soulful intimacy, and moments that feel timeless. You often struggle with boundaries, both in your inner and outer life. You may find it hard to say no, to know where you end and someone else begins. This is because you experience the world through emotional osmosis. Your journey will require you to develop emotional filters, tools for separating your truth from the noise you unconsciously pick up. Creativity is not optional for you, it's survival. Art, music, dance, storytelling, or spiritual expression are essential outlets. Without them, you become spiritually dehydrated. Your purpose is deeply tied to imagination, healing, and the elevation of human consciousness. Whether you pursue this path professionally or as a quiet force in your community, you are here to inspire and elevate through compassion. Love romance, the sacred heart of March 6th. When it comes to love, March 6th Pisces are not just in search of a relationship, they're seeking a cosmic union. To you, love is not just an emotion or even a choice. It's a state of being, a sacred energy you're either vibrating in or starving without. Falling in love isn't a decision, it's an awakening. And when it happens, you don't just offer your heart, you offer your entire soul. You surrender completely, expecting the same in return. You are a devotional lover, the kind who memorizes the details, writes letters, creates songs in your head, and remembers things your partner doesn't even remember saying. You pay attention not just to words, but to tone, breath, energy. You'll hold your lover's secrets as if they were gold. You'll protect their vulnerabilities like a priest guards a confession. You give love as if it were your divine mission, and for you, it often is. But this beautiful depth comes with a cost. You are highly sensitive to betrayal, dishonesty, and emotional neglect. When someone lies to you, even a small lie, it feels like a spiritual wound. You don't explode, you disappear. Your inner world contracts, and that safe haven you once offered becomes locked. That's the wound of Neptune and the moon. The trust that, once broken, rarely returns. You often fall in love with potential, not presence. You see someone not for who they are today, but who they could be at their highest vibration. That's your blessing and your downfall. You're a romantic alchemist, always believing love can heal, change, or rescue someone. But not everyone wants to be transformed, and some just want the comfort you provide without offering much in return. Heartbreak is almost a rite of passage for you, especially during your formative romantic years, the late teens, 20s, and early 30s. During these years, your fantasy lens is strongest. You may attract emotionally unavailable or unstable partners, people who feed off your kindness but don't reciprocate. These experiences shape you but never harden you. You still love deeply, just more consciously. Your ideal relationship involves shared emotional space. You need someone who speaks your emotional language, not just through words, but through subtle acts of intimacy, spiritual curiosity, and emotional depth. Your love thrives in emotional attunement, not in routine or practicality alone. Signs like Cancer and Scorpio are deeply compatible with your soul frequency. Cancer offers nurturing safety, a warm home for your sensitive heart. Scorpio gives you emotional depth and magnetic intimacy. Taurus brings a grounding calmness that quiets your inner storm, while Capricorn gives you emotional structure and encourages your ambitions. Gemini, however, may seem exciting at first but can exhaust you mentally. Their logic may override your intuition, and their need for stimulation can leave you feeling neglected. Sagittarius, though adventurous, may lack the emotional intimacy you crave. Their need for independence might trigger your fears of abandonment. But love, for you, isn't about labels or types, it's about energy. When someone feels like home, when they see your soul and stay anyway, that's when the real magic begins. You are most compatible with those who don't just love you, but understand you, not just in daylight, but in your darkest, moonlit hours. A March 6th Pisces in love is like a river meeting the sea, an endless flow of emotion, mystery, and depth. When you find the right one, it's not just a relationship. It's a sacred story. Marriage vibes. Marriage, for someone born on March 6th, is never just about paperwork, convenience, or societal milestones. It's an act of spiritual devotion. You don't get married to check a box or make a statement. You do it to build a universe with someone. It's about creating a private world where love feels sacred, emotions flow freely, and both partners feel like co-authors of an ever-evolving story. You're the kind of person who wants a relationship that feels enchanted, full of rituals, shared dreams, and quiet moments that feel eternal. You view your home as a sacred space. The bedroom becomes more than a place for sleep or sex, it's your emotional altar. You decorate with intention, surround yourself with meaningful objects, and pour love into the ambiance. Your kitchen? That's where you express love through nourishment, music, and laughter. You cook not just to eat, but to bond. Even the way you place a teacup or set a table can carry emotional symbolism. Marriage to you means living inside a shared poem, a relationship that's artistic, soulful, and alive. But this poetic vision can become painful if your partner doesn't understand it. If you're with someone who treats marriage as a mechanical routine or lacks emotional depth, you'll feel misunderstood, undernourished, even invisible. You don't want perfect. You want presence. You want a partner who listens with their eyes, speaks with their energy, and makes you feel safe enough to be your most sensitive self. Without that, the love withers, not from lack of trying, but from lack of resonance. Your emotional world is deep, complex, and layered like an ocean. You need someone who's willing to swim, not someone who just dips their toes. A partner who can't handle depth, who avoids vulnerability or laughs off emotions, will eventually leave you feeling more alone than if you were single. You crave emotional fluency, not emotional dismissal. In marriage, your soul requires permission to fully express itself, to cry, to create, to feel joy, to spiral sometimes, and to be held during all of it. You also need emotional balance. While you bring softness and empathy, you need a partner who offers structure, grounding, and protection. Someone who doesn't just nurture your dreams but helps you manifest them. This could be someone more practical, but still deeply loving. You don't need your partner to be as emotional as you, just someone who honors your heart space without making you feel too much. In fact, the right marriage elevates you. It helps you feel more like yourself, not less. And yet, marriage won't automatically fulfill you. If it becomes too routine, too rigid, or devoid of spiritual and emotional intimacy, it begins to feel like emotional suffocation. Your spirit cannot thrive in a purely practical relationship. It doesn't matter how financially stable or socially acceptable the union is. If your emotional and spiritual needs are starved, you begin to shut down. You may stay quiet for a while, convincing yourself you're overreacting, but eventually the disconnection becomes unbearable. You don't leave out of anger, you leave because you're spiritually fading. For marriage to work long-term, you need freedom within unity. You want a deep emotional bond, but also the space to dream, create, and retreat when necessary. Your ideal marriage is like a deep forest, intimate, lush, and peaceful, but spacious enough to breathe. You need shared rituals, but not rigid schedules. You need affection, but not clinginess. You need dialogue, not control. Your partner must understand that sometimes your silence is a prayer, not a problem. Above all, marriage for you is about evolution. You don't want a stagnant relationship that looks the same in year 10 as it did in year 1. You want a dynamic, ever-growing partnership, one where both of you are constantly exploring yourselves, each other, and life together. A great marriage, for a March 6th soul, is not about settling down. It's about rising up, together, hand in hand, hearts aligned, spirits free. Sexual energy intimacy. Your sexual energy is not just an extension of your personality, it's a sacred language you speak fluently. You don't engage in intimacy casually or mechanically. You merge, emotionally, psychically, physically. For you, sex is not just about bodies, it's about souls touching, truths being whispered through breath, and emotional walls dissolving. You want to feel everything, and you want your partner to feel it too. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically. Beneath your soft and dreamy demeanor lies a surprisingly wild sensualist. While you exude tenderness, your desires run deep, and often unexpected. You have a vivid imagination, and your fantasy life is rich and layered. You might not always voice your deepest cravings, especially early on, but they're there, and they're powerful. Once you feel emotionally safe, your sexual energy unfurls like a tidal wave, blending tenderness with raw intensity. It's not about performance, it's about connection. You are deeply responsive to sensory stimuli. Scents, music, lighting, textures, they all shape your arousal. A candlelit room, soft fabrics, ambient music, even the emotional energy of the day. These things matter more to you than overt technique. You want an experience, not a checklist. Role play, tantra, eye-gazing, slow touch, shared baths, all these forms of sensuality speak your language. You crave moments where time slows down and every movement feels intentional. Imagination is your biggest erogenous zone. You respond strongly to mental stimulation, emotional foreplay, and spiritual connection. If your mind isn't turned on, your body won't fully follow. You want to feel desired not just for how you look, but for who you are, for your dreams, your voice, your essence. Words matter, energy matters, and when someone gets that, you open up in ways that are nothing short of mystical. You're also a deeply intuitive lover. You don't need a script. You sense what your partner wants or needs, often before they do. This makes your intimacy feel magical, healing, and profoundly satisfying. You make your partner feel seen, adored, understood. But you also need reciprocity. If you're constantly giving and not receiving, you'll start to withdraw. What you crave most is mutual surrender, a space where both partners let go, dissolve their egos, and become one. Emotional safety is the gateway to your fullest sexual expression. If you sense judgment, coldness, or emotional distance, your desire disappears. You might go through the motions to avoid conflict, but inside, the flame dims. On the other hand, when your partner creates a secure emotional environment, where your vulnerability is honored, you blossom. Your sensuality deepens. Your fantasies become invitations, not secrets. Your trust becomes an aphrodisiac. You're also quite open to exploration, once trust is established. While some may view you as delicate or reserved, you're often willing to venture into unknown territory if it means deepening the connection. Whether it's trying new experiences, exploring emotional intimacy during physical closeness, or engaging in spiritual forms of sex like Tantra or Kundalini practices, you are open-minded, as long as the emotional bond remains intact. In relationships where intimacy becomes routine, disconnected, or purely physical, you may start to feel emotionally malnourished, even if the sex is technically good. You need emotional depth in the bedroom just as much as outside of it. For you, great sex is not about frequency or performance, it's about presence, energy, and emotional resonance. When these align, your sensuality becomes transformational, not just for you, but for your partner too. Friendship loyalty. Friendship, for you, isn't a casual connection, it's a soul contract. Born on March 6th, you experience friendship as an emotional devotion, not just a social bond. You don't collect friends to fill your calendar. You form deep, spiritual alliances that feel fated. When someone enters your inner circle, they're not just invited into your life, they're welcomed into your heart space, a sacred place where empathy, loyalty, and intuition reign. You're the kind of friend who remembers the exact tone someone used when they said, "I'm okay," and knew they weren't. You pick up on sadness behind a smile, tension in silence, or joy in the smallest detail. Your emotional radar is always scanning for unspoken truths, which makes your friendship deeply comforting. People often feel like they can finally breathe around you, because you listen with more than your ears, you listen with your whole being. You're also the friend who remembers everything. Birthdays, anniversaries, milestones, the day someone lost their pet, the song they cried to in college. These aren't trivia to you, they're emotional coordinates. You might send a text at 3 a.m. just to say, "Hey, I felt something shift. Are you okay?" You're often eerily accurate, because your intuition never sleeps. This makes you the emotional cornerstone of many friendships, the one others turn to when they're lost, confused, or in pain. But despite your warmth, you're secretly introverted. Too much social interaction, even with people you love, can leave you emotionally drained. You need solitude not because you're antisocial, but because you absorb everything: energy, moods, worries, even excitement. After a deep hangout, you may need a full day of silence just to recalibrate. Your friends may not realize this unless you tell them, because you rarely complain. You simply withdraw and disappear for a while to recharge your emotional batteries. Loyalty is a core part of your identity. You are fiercely committed to those you love. You forgive easily, show up unconditionally, and carry the emotional weight for others, sometimes to your own detriment. When you say, "I'm here for you," you mean it, fully, deeply, and without expiration. But this loyalty can sometimes be taken for granted, especially by those who mistake your softness for passivity. When betrayal happens, and it often does at least once in your life, you don't react with drama or revenge. You simply disappear. Like fog at sunrise, you fade out of the dynamic without explanation. It's not about punishment, it's about self-protection. When someone breaks your trust, the damage goes deep, not because you're fragile, but because you invested so much of yourself. And for you, trust is like glass. Once shattered, the cracks remain no matter how beautifully it's glued back together. Your closest friendships are with those who see you in all your emotional layers and respect your need for space. You don't need constant attention, you need deep resonance. You gravitate toward people who are kind, spiritually aware, emotionally intelligent, and quietly loyal. Loud, chaotic, or drama-prone friends tend to burn you out quickly. You're at your best in small, intentional circles, the kind where silence is comfortable and authenticity is the norm. You're also a natural healer in your friendships. People confide in you, not because you ask, but because your energy invites it. You hold space like a therapist, love like a sibling, and empathize like a soul twin. But beware, this can lead to emotional imbalance, where you're giving far more than you're receiving. Make sure your friendships are reciprocal, not just rescue missions. You may have fewer friends than most, but those you have are deeply bonded to you. Decades can pass, and your connection still feels as vivid as day one. You're not seasonal, you're eternal in friendship, and while you may drift apart from some people over time, the love you gave never disappears, it simply lives quietly in the past, like a soft echo. Your greatest strength as a friend? You make people feel seen, not in the way the world sees them, but in the way their soul longs to be seen. And that's a rare, unforgettable gift. Career business, the artistic empath. At first glance, your gentle, dreamy presence might not scream career powerhouse. But underestimate a March 6th Pisces, and you'll miss the quiet storm brewing underneath. You're not loud, aggressive, or overly ambitious in a traditional sense, but you are brilliantly strategic when passion meets purpose. You're the type to lead a movement through art, change lives with a single phrase, or build an empire around something as tender as healing. What makes you exceptional in business is your emotional intelligence. While others are chasing trends or profits, you instinctively know what people need, not just want, but need. Whether it's a song that heals, a brand that comforts, or a story that inspires, you channel something deeper than market data. Your creativity isn't manufactured, it's channeled. You download ideas from the emotional atmosphere. You intuit shifts in culture before they're named. And you create not to impress, but to connect. You thrive in the creative arts, writing, filmmaking, design, music, performance, photography. Anything that lets you tell emotional truths through beauty or metaphor will feel like home. You're not here to entertain, you're here to evoke. Your best work often happens when you stop trying to please others and start creating from your emotional core. Once you tap into that raw authenticity, your audience doesn't just watch or listen, they feel it. You also excel in healing professions. As a therapist, counselor, energy healer, nurse, or social worker, you bring unmatched empathy and insight. You understand people's pain because you've felt so much of your own. And that's not a flaw, it's your superpower. You don't fix people by giving answers. You heal them by witnessing them without judgment. That's medicine. You may also feel pulled towards spiritual careers, astrology, intuitive coaching, yoga instruction, energy work, or ceremonial leadership. You're naturally psychic, deeply intuitive, and profoundly connected to the unseen world. Even if you don't pursue it professionally, you're likely that spiritual friend in your circle, the one people go to when logic fails and soul questions arise. Entrepreneurship is another powerful path for you, especially in fields tied to wellness, art, or beauty. You have the soul of a visionary. You may start your own skincare line based on emotional intention, or build an online platform for storytelling and trauma healing, or curate spaces that help others feel calm, seen, and safe. Your business doesn't just sell, it soothes. But the greatest hurdle in your professional life? Self-doubt. You often delay launching your ideas because you fear they're not ready, not perfect, or not enough. You're your own harshest critic, because you know the emotional depth of what you're trying to express, and it's hard to find forms that match that depth. But here's the truth, the world isn't looking for perfect. It's looking for real, and your authenticity is already powerful enough to change lives. You're also extremely generous with your time, energy, and even money. You give because you feel others' needs, but this can lead to burnout and financial imbalance. You must learn to set energetic and financial boundaries. Saying no or charging what you're worth is not selfish, it's self-preservation. Money itself doesn't motivate you, but meaning does. When your work aligns with your values, the income follows naturally. But when you take jobs that betray your spirit, just for security or approval, you slowly shrink inside. The key is to trust your emotional compass. When something feels energetically wrong, it is. And when it lights you up, pursue it, even if it scares you. When you believe in yourself, you don't just succeed, you elevate. You're not here to play a role in someone else's structure. You're here to build your own world, soft, visionary, healing, and unforgettable. Numerology, life path of a 6. If you were born on the 6th of March, the universe gifted you with the life path number 6, and that means one thing above all. You were born to love, protect, and heal. But not in a shallow, Hallmark card kind of way. Your role as the nurturer runs soul deep. You don't just care about people, you carry them. Their pain becomes yours, their joy uplifts you, and their wounds awaken your inner healer. This isn't a performance, it's your nature. The number 6 in numerology is the vibration of home, service, responsibility, and compassion. It's the warm embrace in a cold world, the calm voice in a storm, the hand reaching out when everyone else turns away. You have a deep inner drive to create harmony in your family, your workspace, your friendships, your physical environment. Chaos unsettles you, not because you're weak, but because you're wired to repair what's broken. You sense emotional imbalance like a musician hears a sour note, and you instinctively try to restore it. You're the kind of person who remembers someone's allergies, stocks the fridge with their favorite snacks, and senses their bad mood before they speak. People come to you because they feel safe, seen, and emotionally held. You might not always have the perfect advice, but your presence is enough. Just by being with you, people begin to heal. You give them space to be fully human, messy, sad, scared, and hopeful, and you love them through it all. But here's the shadow side. Sometimes your generosity becomes self-erasure. You give so much, emotionally, energetically, physically, that you forget you have needs too. You'll skip your rest to comfort a friend, ignore your intuition to avoid conflict, and carry burdens that were never yours. Over time, this leads to resentment, burnout, and a sense of emotional invisibility. People may come to expect your nurturing without offering much in return, not because they're unkind, but because you've trained them to think you're unbreakable. Another challenge of life path 6 is losing yourself in others. You love so fiercely that you sometimes confuse someone else's needs for your own. In relationships, this can lead to codependency, emotional exhaustion, or staying in toxic dynamics too long because you believe you can fix it. You can't always, and that's okay. Part of your soul's growth involves learning to nurture without self-sacrifice, to love without losing your boundaries, and to give from a full cup, not a cracked one. But make no mistake, your calling is beautiful. You're here to bring beauty, peace, and healing into every space you touch, not just emotionally, but aesthetically too. Many life path 6s are drawn to interior design, hospitality, culinary arts, or any career that involves creating warm, welcoming environments. Others become counselors, teachers, doulas, community builders, or spiritual mentors. Whatever path you choose, the common thread is this: you're building safe spaces, not just for others, but for your own soul too. And when you begin to honor your own needs with the same tenderness you offer everyone else, that's when the magic happens. You stop attracting people who drain you, and start attracting those who uplift and nourish you. You stop over-explaining yourself, and start embodying your worth. You realize your greatest responsibility is not just to others, it's to yourself. Your life path is not about becoming someone else's savior. It's about becoming the kind of soul who radiates love without condition, but also stands tall in your own sovereignty. You're not just here to help others heal, you're here to remind the world what love looks like when it's strong, wise, and whole. Druid Tree Horoscope, the Weeping Willow. In the Celtic or Druidic tree horoscope, your birthday falls under the mysterious and poetic guardianship of the weeping willow, and few symbols could be more aligned with the March 6th soul. The willow isn't just a tree, it's a living metaphor for your essence, graceful, intuitive, emotionally rich, and eternally resilient. With its long, flowing branches and deep, adaptable roots, the willow whispers of souls who feel everything, yet remain standing through every storm. As a willow person, you are what the Celts would have called an old soul. You carry knowledge that wasn't learned, it was remembered. Your intuition is ancestral, your emotions are ancient, your dreams are laced with symbols that feel like prophecies. You might not always explain how you know something, but you do. And you've probably been this way since childhood, sensitive to energies, attuned to others' feelings, and drawn to mystery, nature, and hidden truths. The willow is a tree of grief and growth, sorrow and song. And that duality defines you. You understand sadness more deeply than most, not in a depressive way, but as someone who sees the beauty in brokenness. You don't fear dark emotions. You sit with them, you hold space for them. You honor what most people run from. And this gives you an almost mythical quality, a quiet wisdom that makes people feel like they've known you for lifetimes. But the willow isn't just about emotion. It's about resilience through flexibility. Unlike rigid trees that snap in high winds, the willow bends. It sways with life's unpredictability. It adapts. And so do you. You may feel everything deeply, but you're not fragile. Your softness is not weakness, it's survival wisdom. You know how to let go when needed, to flow with change, and to transform pain into poetry. That's a gift the world desperately needs. You're also someone who reinvents constantly. Like the seasons around the willow, you evolve, quietly but radically. You may change your aesthetic, your creative path, your beliefs, or your emotional focus multiple times in a lifetime. Not because you're confused, but because your soul is always growing. You shed layers the way the willow sheds leaves, naturally, rhythmically, beautifully. Melancholy may be your shadow, but love is always your compass. Even after betrayal, heartbreak, or loss, you choose love again, not blindly, but bravely. This is what makes you so rare. You don't give up on people. You don't close your heart forever. You believe in second chances, redemption arcs, and emotional rebirths. Your love is never naive, it's earned, yet freely given. Your relationship with nature is sacred. You feel connected to the moon, the rain, the rhythm of the earth. You may be drawn to water, rivers, lakes, oceans, because they reflect your emotional depth. You often find clarity when surrounded by trees, or when walking alone under a cloudy sky. Nature isn't just scenery for you, it's a conversation, a living mirror for your inner world. The willow also symbolizes healing through expression. You may find yourself drawn to writing, art, music, or storytelling, anything that allows you to turn your internal landscapes into beauty that others can feel. You heal by creating, and others heal by witnessing what you've created. That's the willow legacy, turning tears into rivers that nourish others. Your greatest gift? You carry emotional depth without drowning in it. You offer softness without becoming a doormat. You've known sorrow, and you still choose to love. And in a world that often confuses detachment with strength, you are the reminder that real strength is found in those who feel deeply in love anyway. The flower horoscope, the water lily. If your birth flower is the water lily, you carry the soul of a mystic wrapped in the softness of a dream. This is no ordinary bloom. The water lily doesn't rise from clear, pristine pools, it grows in murky, muddied waters, thriving in the exact environment most flowers would wither in. And that's what makes it miraculous. It symbolizes spiritual purity, transformation, and grace born of struggle. It doesn't resist the mud, it uses it. And in that, the water lily becomes the perfect symbol for you, March 6th soul. Like your flower, you were born of complexity. Your roots run deep into emotional territory others might avoid, trauma, grief, confusion, longing, lost identity. Yet from those depths, you emerge with a presence that is disarmingly serene. People may see only the calm on your surface, the kindness, the empathy, the light, but they don't always recognize what you've had to rise through to get there. You don't just float, you survived the murk, you turned it into beauty. You may have endured emotional pain early in life, childhood misunderstandings, emotional abandonment, intense sensitivity that was dismissed or misunderstood. But like the water lily, you didn't let that mud define you. You used it, you alchemized it, and that process gave your soul a radiance others feel, even if they can't explain it. Your softness isn't naivety, it's earned grace. There's a stillness about you, a quiet emotional presence that feels like a safe place. You don't demand attention, yet you draw it in effortlessly. Like the lily on the pond, you exist in a state of gentle contrast, above the chaos, yet shaped by it. You are emotionally complex but outwardly composed. You're spiritually rich but unpretentious. You're delicate, yet anchored by invisible roots of strength. Water lilies open during the day and close at night, a subtle, natural rhythm that mirrors your own cycles of openness and retreat. You are not on all the time. You shine when the emotional light is right, but you also know when to protect your energy, pulling back into yourself for restoration. This rhythm is sacred. When people respect it, they get your full bloom. When they don't, you quietly close, not in anger, but in self-preservation. There's also a sacred sensuality to the water lily, just as there is in you. You are not overtly provocative, yet your presence can be deeply magnetic. You attract those who sense your emotional richness, your intuitive grace, and the subtle strength that whispers rather than shouts. Your beauty isn't flashy. It's timeless, soulful, and felt rather than seen. In mythology and mysticism, the water lily is often linked to rebirth and spiritual enlightenment. In Buddhism, it represents the journey of the soul toward awakening. This symbolism fits you perfectly. Your life is less about climbing ladders and more about rising inward. You may go through periods of intense emotional and spiritual transformation, moments when you feel buried in the mud, only to rise again, more open and luminous than before. And just as the water lily provides shelter and safety to the life around it, frogs, fish, birds, you too offer emotional shelter. People feel they can rest in you. Your home, your presence, even your voice, carries the vibration of peaceful refuge. You're not just healing yourself, you're healing others simply by being. Your challenge is remembering that you are not the mud, even when you feel weighed down by your emotions, your past, or others' energies. You are the flower, the bloom, the miracle that rises despite it all, and sometimes because of it. Your softness is your power. Your calm is your rebellion. And your presence is a quiet kind of revolution. Gemstone horoscope, aquamarine moonstone. You are ruled by two gemstones that echo the emotional, intuitive, and spiritual depth of your soul, aquamarine and moonstone. These aren't just beautiful to look at. They are energetic mirrors of your inner world. And when worn together, they become tools of alignment, clarity, and protection, like spiritual armor made of light and sea. Let's begin with aquamarine, your birthstone. Its name comes from the Latin aqua marina, meaning water of the sea, and that's exactly what it feels like. Cool, cleansing, tranquil. This crystal resonates directly with your Pisces essence, fluid, sensitive, and deeply connected to emotional truth. Aquamarine has long been associated with sailors, healers, and mystics, people who trust their instincts and travel uncharted waters. When you wear or carry aquamarine, it helps quiet your mind, balance your moods, and clear emotional fog. It's like a gentle wave that washes over your nervous system, calming you when you're overwhelmed or overthinking. This stone is ideal for moments of anxiety, conflict, or emotional overstimulation, something you may experience often as a March 6th Pisces. It doesn't numb you, it softens the noise so you can hear your own truth again. Aquamarine also enhances clarity in communication, especially around feelings, and that's key for someone like you who often feels more than you can explain. When worn during difficult conversations or creative expression, it allows your voice to match your inner wisdom. You don't just talk with this stone, you channel your truth through it. Then there's moonstone, your secondary, but equally powerful, spiritual ally. This stone is a mirror of the moon itself, and as a Pisces touched by lunar energy, it speaks to your deepest self. Moonstone is a crystal of intuition, dreams, cycles, and feminine wisdom. It doesn't hype you up, it tunes you in. Moonstone is especially useful for emotional balance. As someone whose moods can shift with the energies around you, this stone helps regulate your inner tides. It's particularly potent during full moons, emotional transitions, or hormonal shifts, helping you feel steady when your inner world feels like a storm. For the intuitive and creatively gifted, moonstone also heightens psychic sensitivity. It strengthens your dream life, enhances your ability to read others' emotions, and boosts your spiritual insight. With Moonstone, your soul doesn't just feel more, it understands more. It's the crystal that helps you trust your gut, even when logic says otherwise. But here's the magic: aquamarine and moonstone work best when paired. Together, they create a dual current. Aquamarine soothes and clarifies, while moonstone activates and attunes. They stabilize your emotional body and energize your intuitive gifts. Think of them as your spiritual yin and yang, calm and awakening, clarity and mystery, water and moonlight. When you wear these stones close, as jewelry, tucked in a pocket, or placed under your pillow, they form a kind of energetic cocoon. They don't change who you are, they amplify who you've always been. They help you stay open without being overwhelmed, emotionally present without drowning, and spiritually connected without drifting away from reality. If you're ever unsure, overstimulated, or emotionally blocked, return to these stones. Let aquamarine wash away the static. Let moonstone whisper your soul's truth back to you. You don't need to force clarity, you just need to feel your way there. And these gemstones help you do exactly that. Your connection to aquamarine and moonstone isn't coincidental, it's written in your soul's blueprint. And when you honor that connection, you step more fully into the soft, powerful, intuitive healer you already are. Vedic astrology, Purva Bhadrapada influence. In the intricate world of Vedic astrology, those born on March 6 often fall under the enigmatic and powerful Purva Bhadrapada nakshatra, one of the most mystical and paradoxical constellations in the entire zodiac. Ruled by Jupiter Guru and symbolized by either a two-faced man or a sword, this nakshatra holds deep spiritual significance, representing both the capacity for transformation and the need to reconcile opposing forces within the self. In short, you're not here to float on the surface, you're here to dive into the fire of your own complexity. Purva Bhadrapada is known as a nakshatra of duality and inner evolution. It gives you a nature that is both fiercely compassionate and sharply discerning. You often experience life as a balance between two selves, the dreamer and the realist, the mystic and the skeptic, the healer and the warrior. You are deeply spiritual by instinct, but you don't accept teachings blindly. You question everything, you challenge every idea before integrating it, including your own beliefs. And in that tension lies your power. The symbol of the two-faced man isn't about deception, it's about seeing in two directions at once. You're able to understand light and shadow, good and bad, heaven and earth. This doesn't make you conflicted, it makes you wise. You can hold paradox, you can recognize that sometimes truth comes in contradictions. This gift makes you a natural philosopher, mystic, or counselor. You're not afraid to say, it's both, when others insist it must be one or the other. The influence of Jupiter gives you a strong connection to knowledge, higher learning, and dharma, your soul's purpose. You crave meaning, you're not content with surface-level explanations or shallow conversations. Whether it's in relationships, career, or spirituality, you want to know why you're here and how to serve something greater than yourself. That drive pushes you toward spiritual practices, metaphysical studies, astrology, ancient wisdom, or even science, not because you need answers, but because you seek integration of soul and intellect. Purva Bhadrapada natives often carry a kind of restless intensity beneath their serene exterior. You may seem calm on the outside, but inside, there's a constant dialogue between your higher self and your human experience. You feel things deeply, you think in layers, and you often wrestle with existential questions. What is real? Why does suffering exist? How do I live with integrity? These aren't just abstract curiosities for you, they're central to your identity. You seek to transcend the illusion of material life and live from a higher truth. You are also naturally drawn to service and transformation, especially in unconventional or alternative ways. You may feel called to work in healing professions, especially those that address the soul, energy work, intuitive coaching, trauma healing, hospice care, or spiritual counseling. You might also feel aligned with activism, social justice, or causes that uplift the overlooked. You're not content to exist in the system, you want to evolve it, or build something entirely new. One of the deeper traits of Purva Bhadrapada is a kind of controlled fire. You are capable of fierce focus and inner discipline, even when the world sees you as soft or sensitive. When you're aligned with your purpose, you move with quiet intensity, and your willpower becomes unstoppable. But when you're disconnected from your path, that same intensity can implode inward, causing burnout, anxiety, or emotional shutdown. You must learn how to channel your inner fire, not suppress it. Your ideal partners are those who respect your spiritual depth and emotional complexity. In Vedic compatibility, signs like Cancer Karka, Scorpio Vrishika, and Taurus Vrishabha often make excellent matches for you. Cancer offers you emotional resonance and nurturing support. Scorpio gives you the depth and spiritual intensity you crave. Taurus grounds your inner chaos with patience, loyalty, and touchable love. These signs understand that you are not simple, but you are deeply worth the effort. But ultimately, your greatest relationship is with your own soul. You are here not just to find peace, but to embody truth, to reconcile paradox, and to walk the line between heaven and earth with integrity. Purva Bhadrapada gives you the tools to transform from within, not just for your sake, but for everyone your energy touches. You are a spiritual architect, a torchbearer, a shape-shifter of the soul. And though your path may be solitary at times, it is never empty, because your very presence carries light for others still trapped in darkness. Final thoughts: the March 6th legacy. To be born on March 6th is to carry a signature of subtle greatness, the kind that doesn't shout, but echoes long after the moment has passed. You were not born to fit a mold, to follow the crowd, or to dim your light for anyone's comfort. You were born to feel deeply, to heal quietly, and to transform everything you touch, starting with yourself. That's not a burden, it's a birthright. You live in a world most people don't even notice. You move by intuition, by soul, by the undercurrents that can't be captured in data or logic. You sense things before they're said. You dream things that later come true. You carry memories that don't belong to this lifetime alone. And while others might label this as sensitivity or imagination, the truth is you're wired for the invisible. You feel what others suppress. You name what others avoid. And you do it with a kind of grace that leaves people wondering how someone so soft can be so strong. But here's what you must remember: not everyone deserves access to your energy. Your heart is a treasure chest, filled with wisdom, empathy, and soul light, but not everyone will treat it as the sacred thing it is. That's why your journey isn't just about opening up, it's about guarding yourself with discernment, about learning the sacred balance between giving and receiving, between offering and preserving. Your challenges are real. You've probably wrestled with feelings of invisibility, overwhelm, abandonment, or the fear that you're too much for this world. But you are not too much, you are exactly enough, in exactly the way the universe designed. Your softness is power, your emotion is a compass, your vulnerability is a portal to truth. When you learn to love yourself first, you unlock everything. You stop bending to fit into rooms too small for your soul. You stop shrinking your gifts to make others comfortable. You stop giving your energy to those who only take. And you start thriving, not by becoming someone else, but by becoming more you than you've ever dared to be. The March 6th legacy is one of quiet revolution, of hearts that refuse to harden, of souls that heal simply by being near. You are not here to chase applause or accumulation. You are here to anchor love, to reflect light, and to remind others what is sacred. You are not just a dreamer. You are the dream itself. And the world needs you awake. If this moved something in you, share it with someone born on March 6th, someone who deserves to know how rare they truly are. For more deep dives into birth dates, signs, and soul stories, explore the rest of our content. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the links in the description. There's so much more to you than you've ever been told, and this is only the beginning.